Hey, Mo.
Pleasure to meet you, Kenny. Great to have you here. We've got Kenny Kong here, who is the VP of Strategy of Site Connect at Veeva Systems. Again, I'm Mo Al-Sumidai, who's Chief Editor of the Clinical Trial Vanguard. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so glad to have you. Thanks. So, Kenny, there's been quite a bit of discussion, especially in this conference, that Veeva's focused on enhancing collaboration between sponsors and research sites. So from your perspective, what are some of the most significant challenges in sponsor-site collaboration, and how is Veeva addressing these challenges?
To me, sponsor-site collaboration has grown complicated, and it's a byproduct of the advent of technology. We've become increasingly dependent on it, and with the age of innovation that we've been going through for the last 10, 15, 20 years, what this has created is this complex technology ecosystem where sponsors, they enlist different tools to do different things in a heavily regulated industry. I think we've lost a little bit of our form, or lost a little bit of our way in terms of how we bring sponsors and sites closer together through technology, because the amount of technology has really divided us. So in very, very many ways, our dependency on technology is being, let's try that again. I think in very many ways, our dependence on technology has increased because of the new capabilities that we've brought into advancing clinical trials. Unfortunately, getting the technology to talk to each other has been challenging. So you've created this ecosystem of sponsors enlisting their own technology, having to manage it, having to support it. You have sites doing the exact same thing. And now we've got two moving targets to chase and introduced a lot of variability into the entire process. So what I think we need to do is to standardize the actual clinical trial. Bring sponsor and site on a common data framework, on a common operating system, essentially, to allow them to collaborate. This will bring, this brings speed back into data. This brings speed to data. This brings better quality of data, ultimately faster trials.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So one of Veeva's goals is to enable sponsors to share information and share that with all the sites, right? Yeah. Regardless of the systems they use. Mm-hmm. And so could you elaborate on how Veeva is facilitating this level of interoperability and why it's crucial to the success of clinical trials?
Clinical trials has become increasingly more dependent on data because it's all being captured in different forms, in different formats. It's being captured in different geographies across different systems. And one of the things that we've seen is that there's no continuity there. There's nothing standardized in between. What Veeva strives to do is to enable a common data model between sponsor and site, really built around some of the regulatory requirements as well as the data that is needed to validate that study, right? Where I think we're trying to do things differently in the industry by really standardizing we're trying to standardize the investigator experience while also delivering a connected and integrated system for the sponsor. Both of them operating on a common operating system is what's going to bring that speed and quality.
Mm-hmm. And improving the site experience during clinical trials really is critical for the efficiency and success of studies. What are some of the key factors that Veeva considers when designing solutions to enhance the site experience, and how do these solutions really benefit both sites and sponsors?
There's a lot to unpack there. Let's see. As I think through how we streamline that engagement from an investigator's perspective, we've taken a capabilities-based approach. So rather than trying to make fun technology, trying to improve the experience in technology, we decided to take a step back and really look at a lot of the high-volume, low-value transactions and really eliminate that. Right? That's the first thing we're trying to do, give time back to the investigators, because candidly, their time needs to be spent with patients. The other thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to simplify that experience where we're able to really design systems that, for example, reduce the amount of clicks it takes to get a transaction done, to complete a task. We're trying to also consolidate multiple capabilities into a single standardized user interface for sites to get in and get out. The byproduct of this is a unique experience where they're able to get in, complete what they need to complete, and really get away from the screen time and invest their time more in patient time. From an overall From a sponsor centricity perspective, one of the things that Veeva does best is bring systems together. Our philosophy is to enable a unified platform across the clinical operations suite, essentially delivering a true clinical operations command center back to the sponsors. Because in very many ways, as much as technology is variable for sites, it's also variable for sponsors. What we're really trying to deliver back to sponsors is to remove the variability of site technology preferences or even maturity and allow them to operate consistently across the entire global portfolio. We found that if we can improve the efficiency on both sides by harmonizing the data model and building a standard practice or standardized experience, this really allows us to get therapies to patients faster.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds to me like we're talking about both data quality and enhanced sponsor oversight by integrating these technologies and automating some of those manual tasks, right?
In very many ways. There's a large amount of studies that are still being outsourced, and our outsourced partners conduct a high volume of clinical trials. And in very many ways, a sponsor lacks the oversight. I think the biggest thing that we try to enable, and this is true across all of the different market segments, especially in the SMB space, where there's a huge dependency on outsourcing. We want to give better visibility into the study through better oversight so they can take action immediately, because time is always of the essence, not only from a cost management perspective, but ultimately in getting therapies to patients faster.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of efficiency, how does improving the collaboration between sponsors and sites, particularly through better information sharing, systems sharing, impact the overall speed and efficiency of clinical trials? And can you perhaps share some examples of Veeva's strategies that led to these measurable improvements in trial outcomes?
So let's start off with really how sponsor and site collaboration streamlining that really builds speed into it. If you think about your typical landscape in terms of information sharing, we are very dependent on a lot of disparate systems. What those disparate systems create is fragmented workflows. There's nothing worse when you talk to a site, one of their biggest pain points is having to enter data in multiple places, the same data oftentimes. What does that create for the sponsor? That data becomes fragmented, and remember, this is a very heavily regulated process. Compliance becomes an issue, right? Tracking acknowledgments of safety letters, distribution of end-of-study media. All of these different areas create a lot of disparate processes and fragmented workflows. So that is the first, and to us, that's low-hanging fruit, right? Mm-hmm. Having the ability to unify the systems by delivering a unified platform, consolidated capabilities. What this is going to allow us is to find speed in being able to find data in a single place. Being able to find actionable intelligence on a single pane view, working in a more consistent way across the entire portfolio. So all of this it's a long way of saying we are genuinely trying to bring sponsors and sites closer together by operating in a single standardized experience, because that's what allows us to scale. That unlocks higher performing sites, and it quite frankly expedites that approval, mm-hmm. right?
And I was talking to Bonnie Adams, who's VP of Operations at Inhibrx earlier, and one of the things we were talking about involves, for example, having run study sites. One of the biggest pains is one separate system, giving the CRA access to that system, and then the sponsor having their own eTMF, mm-hmm. right? Having the exact same documents in that eTMF, right? Yeah. And is Site Connect going to be focusing on, for example, you've got a PI's CV or a 1572. That is one version uploaded by the site that the sponsor has access to. The site has access to that version. Yeah. But also other documents that the site does not have access to that are eTMF specific, but not eReg specific, for example, trip reports, monitoring reports, right? But also the site is going to have their own, documents that are going to be site-specific documents, but the sponsor will also have access or be given access to those documents.
Remote monitoring, yeah.
Exactly. So is that going to be like the future of Site Connect?
I think Site Connect does exactly that. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you'll see in the industry is that, with all of the disparate systems, we talk about technology stacks. One of the things that I don't think we spend enough time on is how do we unify technology through standards. From a Veeva standpoint, all of our systems are built on a common platform and also use a common data reference model. And that's what ensures that scalability. You talked about some of the documents that are exchanged between sponsors and site, and I echo one of the conversations that I had with Bonnie, in fact. One of the things we were lamenting about was just how, 80% of the documents that reside in an eTMF are exchanged with sites. And to us, that's low-hanging fruit. How we've not found a way to standardize that is beyond me. Site Connect is that big step forward to fill that gap. What we've done is essentially helped sponsors operationalize their eTMF, because it could just be a document repository, and yes, that's what Vault does a great job at. But operationalizing something like that, that's the key to success. What we've essentially done is extended that same data model directly to sites. Now there's continuity in documents. Now it's automated indexing, the stacking, the versioning, rather than just random file objects being floated back and forth between sponsor and site. Cycle time reductions are huge for us right now. As surveying sponsors of different sizes, from our the top 20 pharma to some biotechs that have under 200 employees. What we've seen is a significant decrease in cycles and study startup times, especially around that initial document exchange. If you can't tell, I'm super excited about this because this is quantifiable. It's real, and it's also about making monitors more efficient. We talked about remote monitoring. That is one of the single greatest costs that a sponsor has to bear. And I think the reality of it is when we're sending people out there for something that we can automate, big savings there, reducing the cost of the study, ultimately reduces the cost of the medication, of the therapy. That's how we're able to contribute back to the broader scheme of things. So, I'm super excited about everything that we're being able to do today because, again, Site Connect is that one system that has found a way to break that barrier and really bring sponsor and site closer together. It's incredible. I love what we're doing.
And it saves me the headache from having to buy ibuprofen for version control issues.
We talk about all of these documents that sponsor and site have to share, right? The file in itself is a common file. What is it, a PDF or something like that, a Word document of sorts? We've standardized the file format, but the way that we've structured it has never been standardized in the past. So being able to go do that, now we're able to really decrease inspection timelines, right? An ISF and TMF is essentially, the reconciliation of that is essentially automated. How much time are we saving there, right? So to me, the efficiencies really are industry-wide. And through that rising tide, we're able to raise the entire industry, right? We're really able to advance clinical trials by doing something as simple as this. It's awesome.
And as a strategy guy, Kenny, you're forward thinking. What sort of vision do you have for the future of sponsor-site collaboration, and how is Veeva preparing to support this vision?
We're going to continue to refine our strategy about reducing the technology burden. I've said this before, if you look at a site and some of the biggest hurdles they have in collaborating with sponsors, it's the variety of technology, right? Early days, I want to say over the last 10 years, we've always talked about reducing that technology burden because everybody's enlisted technology to run their trials. The eClinical landscape has grown exponentially. Certainly Veeva, as a leader in that space, has been a part of that. But I still think that that we can still find more innovative ways of focusing on capabilities rather than actual technology, right? What is it doing for the individual that's using it? So from a site centricity perspective, we've revised our site engagement strategy to focus on 3 core areas. It's leveraging Veeva technology, right, as the foundation. And how do we allow for sites to work within their own processes and procedures, their own technology preference and technology maturity? How do we become interoperable with them while being able to deliver lower costs by reducing technology integrations and allowing this consistency for both sponsor and site as they collaborate. So things that we're looking at going forward is like greater financial oversight. We have a strong payment solution that's going to help automate the flow and essentially take care of the accounts payable and receivable pieces there. What we're beginning to deliver is more visibility for the site into their payment status, giving them greater financial oversight. Sites they don't have a very, very large cash flow, right? The clinical trial model is a fee-for-service model. So giving sites more visibility into that is going to help them, really deliver better oversight financially. Another thing that we're doing is we're building out a systems integrations, what we call the systems link section within the Site Connect application. It's continuing to centralize and all of these site-facing applications in a single place. We're delivering a strong single sign-on experience that allows you to, use a single account to access all of those site-facing technologies. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to deliver more automation between sponsor and site. Oftentimes, documents get updated. We started with we delivered gap pack functionality from a safety letter distribution perspective, so that all new sites that get activated are up to date with with all of the adverse events that have taken place as a part of that study. We're automating the flow of documents when they reach an upgraded or finalized life cycle state to eligible sites, and we're really trying to reduce the amount of clicks for both sponsor and site. So there will be a little bit of a period of refinement as we begin to bring additional capabilities back into the platform. All of which is to really say, look, for sites they're able to get in and get what they need to get accomplished, completed, and get out, because their time needs to be spent with patients.
Mm-hmm. Kenny, is there anything else you'd like to add?
As an industry as a whole, I think we're due for an e-clinical renaissance. We really, really are. There's been so much innovation over the last decade, 2 decades. And this has delivered us, a lot of great capabilities to really take technology and put it to use back in clinical trials. But I think that the industry has gotten away from itself a little bit. Technology stopped working for us. We're really working for technology. It's kind of like the old Terminator movie, right? And I do think that we've reached a little bit of an inflection point. 75% of sites, 74% of sites are ready to take on technology now. We're embracing the digital age, but over half of them still struggle with dealing with the various varieties of technology that's at hand. It's very, very difficult to scale. I think that we can really begin to kind of get back to the basics here. Let's make technology work for us again and simplify that sponsor-site collaboration. And I feel strongly that Site Connect, this is just the beginning. But the foundation that we're laying right now is really going to bring sponsors and sites closer together.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Kenny. Kenny Kong, who's the VP of Strategy, Site Connect at Veeva Systems. Thanks so much for coming here.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.